Hello, welcome back to Firesense Gaming. My name is Ben, and today we're going to continue on with Rizia. So last time out, we had another meal with our family and convinced Princess Vina to marry Duke Axel Reinhardt. And then we had a security council meeting where we found out that it looks like Lesbio's behind the Friendship Day bombing. So yeah, let's pick it up here. Things are not going super well. I mean, yeah, budget fell again, which is fantastic, but whatever. We'll deal with it, or not. We'll see what happens. So let's see, we got a couple reports, a couple news articles. Let's start with this report here at Portrazon. RPP held emergency meeting to elect new leader. Yesterday evening, the Rizian People's Party held an emergency meeting to discuss the election of a new party leader to fill the vacancy. According to our sources, several influential party figures were contending for the leadership position, such as successful businessman Rene Gaspaldo, Cezanne's former assistant, Mr. Horta, and the leader of the RPP radicals, Adolfo Sotolado. After a 6-hour meeting, the party spokespersons made a public announcement declaring the appointment of Adolfo Sotolado as the leader of the RPP. The appointment of a new leader raises many questions for the RPP and the Crown. While being regarded as a potentially dangerous radical, he is the least known figure among the candidates with no significant prior popular support, and holds no financial or familial ties to any noble house, unlike the party's former leader. Political analysts argue his lack of connections will likely weaken the party financially, and his radicalism may disrupt the mass popularity that the party reached during Manu Cezanne's leadership. While some claim this can turn the RPP into a much stronger opposition and radicalize the populace, others claim the party has already lost its integrity and expect to see their quick downfall. Interesting, okay. And for monkeys, nobles continue to increase rents despite regulation. Tenants organizations monkeys raise concerns as more and more landlords increasing rent far beyond the 8% yearly threshold. Exceptions to these thresholds by renovating housing stock are commonly being used, as well as highly illegal rental agreements without formal contracts. That's definitely not brilliant. Alright. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, but alright, we got 2 new newspaper articles here, both from Royal Herald. So, RPP leadership in disarray as party prepares for internal election. Rizian People's Party finds itself at a crossroads as it prepares to elect a new leader following the sudden vacancy of its top position. According to reports, the party held a rare emergency meeting this week under a shroud of secrecy, fueling the debate about the next leader. Analysts speculate that the party's radical factions could exploit this leadership race to push the party towards their vision. Such a shift may intensify existing divisions, with moderates and radicals clashing over control of the party's future direction. And anticipation and anxiety mount as Zeal's transfer of governance nears. With the imminent transfer of governance from Valen to Rizia slated to occur, anticipation and trepidation over Zeal's return mounts. The prospect of Rizia reclaiming control has stirred excitement among citizens, eager for renewed sovereignty after Valen's extended stewardship of the territory in the aftermath of the Friendship Day bombing. However, lingering uncertainties about the transition process have fueled anxiety. While diplomatic assurances offer comfort to many, some critics accuse President Smolak of exploiting the tragedy, using it as justification to maintain Valen's control over Zeal, raising questions about the true intentions of Valen's leadership in the region. Despite these concerns, the focus remains on the forthcoming transfer of governance back to Rizia and the diplomatic efforts to ensure a smooth transition. Cool. Alright, I guess we got to head over here to Bronaz for... Oh boy, okay. Rusty's loan repayment approaching. A message arrives from Rusty Montoro's family office, a polite but firm reminder that the loan he extended will soon be due. He assures the monarchy that he is flexible with repayment, but expects the debt to be settled promptly. Failing to do so may force him to take alternative measures to secure his investment. Okay, well, that is problematic, but we will arrange our coffers. Oh, wow, okay. Apparently that added +2 budget somehow? Huh, okay. Looks like it went up to +3 per turn from RRG revenues, maybe? Weird. Okay, well, interesting. Anyway. Guess let's head over to Portrazon here for a massive rally demanding reforms. During the week, the Rizian People's Party and various left-wing organizations organized large-scale rallies in all major cities in Rizia, resulting in mass attendance from the public. Hundreds of thousands are demanding to be given the right to elect their political leaders to influence Rizian policy. The rallies have been peaceful and are being held in support of the RPP and the calls for an end to the absolute rule of the Taurus dynasty. The Rizian intelligence suspects these rallies to be the largest public gathering since the 1926 uprising. They relayed their worries about the movement growing more radical. Let's just try to contain the gatherings instead of going too far either direction. Okay, so now we're at -1 authority instead of +1. Fantastic. And our budget just dropped again somehow. Cool. Alright, yeah, I have no idea what's going on. That's fine. Alright. Let's see, we got a newspaper article from the Royal Herald. A disgraceful display. Sotolato's radical rally stirs division in the capital. Today, Portrazon's central square became a stage for disorder as thousands of Rizian People's Party supporters gathered in what they termed a rally for political rights. Spearheaded by Adolfo Sotolato, the event quickly revealed its true nature, a direct challenge to the crown's authority and a thinly veiled attack on the nobility. Sotolato's speech, rife with divisive rhetoric, called for the end of absolutist rule and derided the monarchy as a relic of the past. He declared, "Privilege has no place in a just society. We must take back what rightfully belongs to the people." His words were met with cheers from the crowd, which included millennialist groups whose alignment with the RPP raises troubling questions about the movement's intentions. And a couple reports here from Portrazon. First one is tourism revenues decline amid nationwide security concerns. A sharp decline in tourism revenue has been observed across the kingdom, attributed to escalating security concerns and increasing domestic tensions. The Royal Tourism and Hospitality Board has reported a 27% drop in seasonal visitor numbers, with particular losses noted in traditionally high-traffic coastal and cultural hubs. Although authorities have increased patrols and regional coordination, national perceptions of safety remain affected. And thousands demand an end to absolutist rule. In a massive rally organized today by the Rizian People's Party and RPP-aligned groups, thousands have gathered in Portrazon's central square, asking for more political rights and calling for an end to the absolutist rule of the Rizian crown. Several millennialist groups are also seen in the crowd when local RPP leaders gave speeches in which they promised to fight for an empowered House of Delegates and to end the system that gives privileges to the Rizian nobility. The rally is believed to be the largest gathering ever assembled at the central square since the 1926 uprising. Fantastic. Alright, looks like we're heading over to Lesbia now for the next story beats. When we arrived in Perla, the press surged forward at me like a relentless horde, shoving their cameras and microphones my way. The shouts and pleas for attention clashed with the stoic demeanor of the lesbian security guards. These guards, clad in crisp, dark uniforms, formed a protective barrier around us, their eyes scanning for any reporter daring enough to breach their formation. Our convoy commenced its journey, a series of sleek black cars gliding through the lesbian capital's bustling streets. We eased to a stop at the entrance of the Yellow House. I stepped out onto the cobblestone driveway. The building itself was a small but imposing structure of classical design, its yellow-painted walls standing out boldly against the greenery of the park. I was led into the waiting room, a space with an understated elegance furnished with leather chairs and a mahogany table. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains, casting soft patterns on the floor. As I waited for Prime Minister Alvarez, my attention was captured by a mysterious-looking teapot resplendent in its golden sheen. Let's inspect it and hope he doesn't break it like Rain did that one time. I started inspecting the teapot. The elegantly crafted vessel was engraved with intricate designs. Delicate floral patterns interwoven with abstract shapes reminded me of medieval resonant motifs. I leaned in closer, observing the way the light played off its surface. The piece was definitely made out of Rizian gold and looked far too ancient for its well-maintained shape. I wondered if it was an original Rizian artifact or an unrelated gift from another foreign dignitary. Whatever it was, I questioned why such a valuable artifact was left out in the open like this. But then again, those who were allowed into this room, world leaders and people of stature, would probably have the common sense not to disturb this priceless relic. As I stood there absorbed in thought, the doors opened and Prime Minister Alvarez came in. "I see you immediately spotted your kingdom's gold, Your Majesty," It is an ancient resident artifact uncovered in southern Lesbia. Quite a valuable item, I'm told. Ah, forgive me. He offered his hand, and I shook it. Please, let's get comfortable while we discuss our matters. On his gesture, we moved to the sofas and sat down. So, Your Majesty, I must say nobody in my government supports this visit. You have already spread lies about our involvement in Zeal and acted quite antagonistically against us. My government believes Rizia is getting increasingly hostile and started to pose a threat to stability in southern Marcopa. And my council believes Lesbia is also behind the border incident with Palais. Interesting fantasies and theories they've got there. That sort of thing is quite dangerous, Your Majesty. Why did Rizia publish this so-called evidence? You did not even have a dialogue with me about it until now. Does Rizia really want to make an enemy of Lesbia, Your Majesty? Who's the enemy here? I thought Lesbia would be against the Vasic takeover. This whole incident allowed President Smolak to take Zeal hostage. You've clearly answered your own question there. The enemy is President Smolak and his militarist government. Just to be clear, there cannot be any cooperation with Rizia after this. It is out of my hands now, Your Majesty. The sentiment in the Lesbian Parliament is now very anti-Rizian, as you might expect. Anti-Rizian? Is that some sort of a threat? Or are you trying to say it was just a lone wolf? Lesbia is a democracy, Your Majesty. That might be hard for you to comprehend, but I'm not behind every decision here. Listen, Your Majesty. If you want any cooperation from Lesbia, you must sabotage a deal you made with Morella and make sure the arrangement never comes to pass. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to maintain our partnership or pursue further agreements with Rizia. Do this, and I'll make sure the Lesbian government stays outside of Rizian affairs. You don't want Lesbia to actively work against Rizian interests. You're gonna make sure? We have proof that you've already actively worked against our interests. Your opinion will not change the reality of our situation. Don't expect Lesbia to be supportive of your tyrannical regime anymore. He stood up. I'm sorry you came all the way for this, but I believe we're done here. Let's just call the meeting here. Yes, let's. Have a good day. I stood up and walked out of the room with quick steps. Cool. Well, that went well. Alright, let's see. There's a whole bunch of things popping up here. Let's see what we got. Ooh, this could potentially be really useful, so let's just start here. From Swordland, outcome of the Swordland bond investment. Approximately 4 years have passed since our strategic investment, Swordland's economic recovery bonds. The global economy has witnessed numerous fluctuations and changes during this period, affecting Swordland's economic rebound. Now it's time to assess the financial outcome of the bond. Okay, we win or lose nothing. Okay, I don't think anything happened there, but alright. Do have a situation update here I wasn't paying attention to. Royal traditions broken, apparently. Alright. Well, let's see here. Guess we're gonna head back to Port Drazan here. Let's do the Silent March first. A massive Silent March has been organized by Dasner's clergy in the capital. Tens of thousands walk through the city streets, dressed in black and holding banners that condemn what they see as the Crown's disregard for religious purity. The marchers demand public recognition of their grievances and a return to stricter policies on moral governance. No. Might be a bad idea, but we're going to go through the authority boost. We're going to ban any future Dasner's marches. So if nothing else, we need that to sell energy, and we just lost more money. Fantastic. This is just going. Going really well here. Alright. Well, we got an article from the Royal Herald again. Order preserved in the capital. In a decision welcomed by those concerned with maintaining peace in the capital, the Crown has officially banned mass Dassner's marches. The move follows the recent silent march, which drew large crowds through the city streets. Officials emphasize the need to preserve harmony and public order, especially in light of growing religious fervor. The ban ensures that places of worship remain open for reflection and prayer while preventing further disruption to daily life. The Crown's commitment to both freedom of belief and public peace remains steadfast, a balance struck with courage and care. Okay. I don't know about that, but that's alright. Let's see, so I guess we have a council meeting here now. I passed through the palace garden towards the council chambers to meet with the council. Uncle Hugo greeted me in front of the doors. Your Majesty, the councils are waiting for you. He opened the door and held it for me as I entered. The councilors were already seated around the table, deep in conversation. When they saw us entering, they immediately rose and bowed. Please, have a seat. My councilors nodded and took their seats. Before we begin, I want to extend my blessings for the upcoming royal marriage. Congratulations, Your Highness. May God bless the union between you and Duke Reinhardt. Thank you, Grand Wiseman. She smiled and bowed her head to Saul in respect. Your Majesty, may I? Please. I'll get to the point immediately. There are concerning reports that point to growing unrest among the populace. In the wake of Manu Sezon's departure, we are seeing growing anti-monarchist sentiments amongst supporters of the Rizian People's Party. We're seeing an increase in nationalist sentiments. Native Rizians are complaining of their voices being ignored. Some are even taking part in the RPP-aligned protests. The RPP's demands for electoral reform and free press are beginning traction. They've managed to bring their radical ideas to the mainstream. I saw my daughter suppress a small smile. While this is very concerning, without Sezon's leadership, the movement is bound to collapse, if you ask me. Lucida raised her hand. On the contrary, Your Grace, the leadership struggle has made the movement even more of a threat than before. The RPP has recently elected a commoner named Adolfo Salado as their new leader. His ideas make Manu Sezon's look tame. I have recently received reports that he and his supporters openly speak of revolution. We have to do something about this. Hugo raised an eyebrow. You're giving too much credit to a low-born man that nobody in the country knows of. I've heard of him. He was behind those millennium strikes in Arno. Yes, he nearly brought the city to a standstill before you put an end to it. According to the intelligence I've received, he's a popular figure among commoners in Castle Monteclair, especially the miners. He's a former miner himself, allegedly responsible for organizing countless strikes against RRG during his time there. He joined the RPP in 1950, but only recently entered the political arena. We have unconfirmed reports connecting him to known millennialist agitators, not only within Rizia, but also Morella and Voxland. In short, we have a young communist on our hands who's now leading the opposition. We must tread carefully. A communist? That's exactly what we needed. Then what are we doing about it? We're watching the opposition's every action carefully. Their gatherings are monitored, and our police forces are ready to counter any violent behavior. Respectfully, I don't believe this is a problem that can be solved with heavy policing. My security counselor raised an eyebrow and patiently waited for Vina to continue. These are our own citizens out there, not some foreign enemy. If they have concerns, we should listen to them. No, our security forces will keep following them. Make sure they don't get any funny ideas. Vina opened her mouth to object, but was interrupted. Yes, Your Majesty. If I may, there's one action we can take to mitigate some of the unrest we're experiencing. I will reluctantly remind His Majesty of the millennium strikes last year. We still have yet to deliver on the improved working conditions we promised the strike leaders. As a result, support for the revolutionary movement has been growing. I won't be surprised if they're backed by certain millennialist neighbors of ours. We are under further pressure from welfare protesters who expect us to follow through on our promise of increased health and education funding. Broken promises weaken the public's faith in the crown, Your Majesty. I normally would not advise you to give in to dissidents, but in this case, I suggest we fulfill the protesters' demands as soon as we have the resources to do so. I mean, we need the resources first, so thank you both for your advice. I'll take some time to think about it. Please do. That's everything I wanted to address. We can move on to individual briefings now. What would you like to talk about first, Your Majesty? Well, let's just start from Sal. I'd like to hear from Sal about the spiritual state of the nation. Your Majesty, it is my unfortunate duty to report that doubt in the crown is festering among certain religious communities, to the point that they have begun to align with the reformist movements. The other councillors exchanged looks. That's troubling news, Grand Wiseman. Which groups are you referring to? Gokiness and Dastranos have joined the protests. Mainstream Ruisists are staying out of the fray thus far. These congregants you're speaking of, can they be swayed from the reformist side? I believe they can, but only if the crowd addresses their concerns. If I may, I've noticed that mounting religious dissatisfaction has driven faith-based revenues into the red. Yes, tithes and donations have fallen to abysmal levels, making our financial position weaker than expected. So faith is strong, but the purses are closed. They've given what they can. As for the religious groups themselves, I've compiled a report with the aid of Captain Castellanos. Who would you like to hear about first? Tell me about the Ruisists. Sal nodded eagerly. I must say, the entire Ruisist community, myself included, is beginning to give up hope that the Plavo Arch Sanctuary will ever open its doors to the public again. In the meantime, Ruisist communities in other parts of the country complain that they are underserved. As for the recent vandalism incident in Elvisar, a public condemnation of the heathen atheists responsible has elicited mixed reactions. While Ruisists appreciate your call for unity, they have expressed a desire for more decisive action, that your words were not enough. I didn't take the decision lightly, I stand by it. All in all, most Ruisists remain indifferent towards you. Well, a neutral art is one that can still be won. Then let's win it wisely. Alright, well, what's going on in the Dastranos community? It goes without saying that the Dastranos of Salabay are disappointed at the crown's continued neglect of their grand sanctuary. It must also be said that Dastranos and other provinces are crying out for new places of worship as well. They should not be ignored. As for the anti-Dastranos pamphlet scandal, many were content with the printing house being fined, seeing it as a way to address the issue while still respecting press freedom. However, while the pamphlet production continues, some believe the financial penalty alone is insufficient, feeling that the underlying ideas remain unchecked. They may see it as lenient, but I see it as principled. We upheld the law without silencing dissent. Furthermore, the silent march through the capital drew widespread attention. Many saw your ban on future marches as a declaration that faith has no place in the public square. Even some who disagreed with the march now speak of the crown as an enemy of religious liberty. Overall, the Dastranos view of the crown is less than favorable. Their displeasure changes nothing. Our course remains the same. Even so, ignoring them carries risks. What's going on in the Golkadis community? Sal turned to Page's report with some trepidation. Broadly speaking, the Golkadis community is growing increasingly disillusioned with the monarchy. They still complain of unequal treatment and demand the right to practice their bizarre form of worship. Endorsing the Ruisist position regarding the removal of Orentos and Turno from one of your sanctuaries reinforced your standing among traditionalists. But it has further alienated the Golkanists. It goes without saying that their frustration is mounting, and protests have intensified in response. Those are the primary developments among the faithful at this juncture. One day it's reverence, the next it's unrest. The faithful are never still for long. Anything else you want to talk about, Your Majesty? Lorento, what's the state of our foreign affairs? Of course, Your Majesty. Our relations with Lesbia are deteriorating rapidly. Our meeting with Prime Minister Alvarez didn't exactly go as planned. Lesbia is an important partner and a potential threat. We must tread carefully with them. Another important point is our scheduled meeting with the Vesic presidents. Your Majesty will have a chance to talk to President Smolak about the situation with Zeal. He may bring up yet another unexpected request or security issue. Regardless of his theatrics, we should do our best to reach a final resolution to ensure the swift return of Zeal. If all else fails, we can bring it up in the upcoming Alliance of Nations session. All means are to be considered to get Zeal back. We will get it back, Your Majesty. On the other hand, our trade relations with Morella are very positive. The final vote on the MITS issue, which will take place at the start of next year, will be the defining factor for our long-term relations with them. Great, this whole MITS thing has taken too long already. Our relations with Dirty, on the other hand, have not changed much since your meeting with Grind Wiseman Asmol. Their disputes with Morella and Valence still remain a major concern. He stopped for a moment to take a look at his notes. Oh, also, Supreme Wiseman Asmol sent us a letter of condemnation criticizing what he calls our continued oppression against Golkanists in Rizia. And in the PS section of the letter, we discovered a Golkanist curse. Give me a break. I have prayed to Rurik to dispel the bad spirits from Delia. Oh my god. I know, Your Majesty, I know. And last but not least, Pelé. But Your Majesty is already aware of the situation with Duke Reinhardt. The royal wedding shall take place after your upcoming visit to the Alliance of Nations. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Your Highness and His Majesty once again. Another hurried round of congratulations from everyone at the table followed. Thank you very much, Mr. Escabel. Duke Reinhardt, Axel, and I have been speaking on the phone about the arrangements. I know he is very open to the idea of Rizian Pelesian reunification. That's very good to hear, Your Highness. We'll have to wait until after the wedding to proceed with the unification talks, but I'm expecting the process to go smoothly. Thank you for laying the groundwork, Your Highness. Duke Reinhardt is a lucky man indeed. Vina blushed. Lorenzo bowed his head respectfully before continuing. So far, the Palestream pipeline has also been very beneficial for both our countries. It is a remarkable achievement. We struck a serious blow to Lesbia's interests in Palais by decreasing their reliance to them and opening their way to grace. Our support for their application has already been approved by the other member states. Send my congratulations, Duke Reinhardt. Yes, Your Majesty. That's all for the oath, Your Majesty, but there's one thing I wanted to discuss with you. It was your intention to pursue greater ties with our neighbours, and now it looks more realistic than ever before to bring them together in a potential regional alliance. The collaborations and interdependencies we have formed thus far make this a viable strategy we can potentially pursue. I've been pursuing the strategy since the beginning. Let's talk about how we can form our own regional alliance in southern Maricopa. With our current relations with our neighbours and the increasing pressure on our region by both the CSP and the ATO, we have the perfect window of opportunity. Palestream is a crucial bargaining chip that we have. We can provide cheaper gas to our other neighbours, connecting our economies even further. The same goes for more gas, the pipeline between Rizia and Morella. If our relations with Morella continue on their current track of improvement, they can also be a potential partner in the region. That will depend on the outcome of next year's final Miss Board vote. I'm hoping for no last-minute surprises. If we can reach a resolution with President Smolak over Zeal, I believe they can also be a potential partner. Our treaty has already shown great promise. Everyone in the region is looking for more energy sources. They're under increasing pressure from CSP and ATO to subjugate themselves to the interests of the superpowers. Meanwhile, we're still in good terms with Rumberg and Grace. But our distant geographical proximity limits the benefits we can get out of those alliances. I truly believe that our national interests align with those of our neighbours. If we can connect our economies further and create balanced dependencies on each other, we can ensure peace and unity in southern Maricopa. I completely agree with that, Mr. Escabel. How do you think we can proceed with this idea?
We could lead the initiative to form a neutral Southern Macopan Pact. This would require us to funnel a lot of resources into it. If we can lead such a peaceful initiative, I think this is realistically possible. It is all about ensuring that our countries are linked at a fundamental level that makes cutting ties a losing scenario for everyone. This is the only way to bring together countries with vastly different ideologies and cultures like we have in Southern Macopa. But it does come at the risk of alienating Rumburg. Queen Beatrice may see such an alliance as an affront to grace, and especially at a time when her kingdom is facing increasing geopolitical isolation.
Let's go with that. That's a risk I'm willing to take. It's about time for us to begin pulling away from Grace anyway.
Thank you, Your Majesty. We can start the process by reaching out to our neighbors and preemptively funneling some funds into leading this initiative. Shall I begin our efforts?
I don't know with what money, but yes, I want this alliance to happen.
As you wish, Your Majesty. I'll keep you updated as developments occur. Anything else you want to talk about, Your Majesty?
I want an update on our military situation. Yes, Your Majesty. Rizian armed forces stand ready and strong, however we still lag significantly behind some of our neighbors. At present, we can deploy approximately 8 to 9 fully equipped infantry divisions. However, our numbers are limited, signaling a need for expansion. Unfortunately, we can only field 3 mechanized support divisions specifically trained to back our infantry and armored units during assaults. Taking this into account, it would create substantial difficulties in defending ourselves in the event of a military conflict. As far as the tanks are concerned, we operate with limited divisions, while our neighbor's inventory far surpasses ours. She sighed. In contrast, the Rizian Air Force is barely capable of contesting Pelesian air superiority. And lastly, steering our navy as our flagship, the RN Valero, the most prized asset of the whole Rizian military. Unfortunately, our fleet is short on ships to effectively project power into the Antician Sea. Our submarines can also provide crucial support and have caused significant damage despite being few in numbers.
Thank you for the overview. Anything else you want to talk about, Your Majesty?
Yes, what's happening with the Rizian economy, other than nothing good? Elena took out her ledger, placed it on the table, and opened it up. We are rapidly losing money. We should try to get out of our current deficit situation. We don't have enough funds to tackle the situation the way I'd like to, but selling energy is still an option. She turned a page. When you ascended the throne, we agreed to focus on a mixed approach for the Rizian economy, balancing resources and other industries. Currently, we have a very bridged energy economy with heavy reliance on certain sources. Our future is looking strong, as long as our access to those resources remains. Sadly, our goods are no longer in demand around the country and the world. Our industrial production capacity has fallen. This is worrying news. All looking away is to increase our production capacity. Eventually, maybe. As for our business climate, as we find ourselves increasingly mired in what appears to be a deepening recession, there is an alarming trend of substantial withdrawal of investments across the board. This economic climate is dire for new business, leading to increased insolvencies and a significant rise in unemployment, which is severely impacting our workforce and marking a tough phase for Rizia's overall economic health. There must be additional strategies we can employ, Miss Werner. I agree wholeheartedly. I'm exploring every possible option to strengthen our economy further. While we're on the subject, as you may have heard, I was talking to some business owners about the idea of forming a stock exchange at Port Rizon. Rusty Montoro's name was floated as a candidate to share it.
You trust that man with the Rizian stock market?
And with the leverage we now have over him, he could make us a lot of money.
Us or himself?
A bit of both.
If we establish such an exchange, Rizia's economy would be tied to our global image more strongly than ever before. As it stands, we have to think carefully before taking that risk.
Correct as usual, Mr. Escobar. She closed her book. That's it for the economy, then. Well, I think I've heard enough.
Of course. Thank you for everyone's input. We can call the session over.
Councilors bowed their heads in respect. When they left the room, I went to the balcony to get some fresh air. Violent protests in Rizia Imperia. That's not ideal. Cool. Alright. Well, yeah, our money just keeps collapsing here, so this is fantastic. Jeez. Okay. Well. Yeah, this is going well here. But that's alright. We'll have to see what we can do to try to fix this later. So, until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see y'all later.